look, Ron DeSantis again. Every day.
I got nothing.
I just send back a new shitty message to them, and
Bro,
they haven't. I don't think they get my messages. It's so sad.
it's so annoying. Like, I'd be so
Yesterday, it
pissed.
was like, freedom isn't given, it's earned. That's exactly what Ron DeSantis is fighting for, American freedom. And I said, Ron
Really?
DeShitstain won't have freedom for long.
Oh my God, I fucking hate him so much.
And that's the kind of shit I send back to them. Anyways, yeah.
Happy, whatever the fuck day of the week this is. Thursday?
Happy Thursday. I officially have a week left before I have to go back to school.
So Japan was amazing, and then I came back to lots of work to do. So here we are.
Yeah. It has 2 weeks, but I go back next week.
Yeah. I am hoping to blow my July reading numbers out of the water because God, it was
Oh, you've been
so
working hard on it?
depressing. Yeah, it was so
Oh, see, my
depressing.
August
It was
numbers aren't
bad.
even close to my July because July is always a big month for me.
June was my biggest month for reading. July has been my lowest month for reading. I am halfway through August and I already am like 6 books away from being equal to July. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So you're way ahead of me then. On that note, I'm going to be completely honest right now. This week, we read Sincerely Up Yours by Penelope Bloom. And I don't think that I have read a book by this author before. I don't know if I've been living under a rock and didn't know she existed, but I know now. And I've already put like 3 more of her books
Have
on my
you?
TV.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
And I just want to be completely upfront about this because after I read this book, I went to do my rating on Goodreads and saw how tanked the rating on this book was on Goodreads.
I saw it, which is wild.
And I was like, I don't understand this. And so I started reading through the reviews.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm just broken or what, because this book was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed the first 75% of it with no goddamn issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the whole book was great. Don't get me wrong. And it seems split down the middle on reviews. Either people felt like I did, or the other side of the fence was, there's nothing funny about this book. I don't know why people say this book is funny.
I laughed so hard.
I laughed out loud so many times. So many times did I laugh out loud throughout this book. Probably at least half of it was the deranged best friend.
Elizabeth?
But yes. But I'm just saying.
No, I don't.
I don't know what's wrong with these people, or maybe I was just in the right mindset and needed this kind of book. That's why I even said to you, I'm like, I don't know if I'm just enjoying this more than I should. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
So I'm gonna be straight up. So what's funny is I was actually having a conversation with Spencer, and I wasn't gonna tell you this part because I was like, Ariel, whatever. I had told you before that I apparently read this book.
Yeah.
I honestly, even while reading it, there were a couple, mostly nothing. But I did remember bits and pieces.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna forget. If I read this, I don't think I could forget some of this stuff.
I think it's just because I had it marked down that I read it in January. That's 7 months ago. It's a long time ago. There were bits and pieces that I'm like, oh my God. First of all, I did remember how unhinged the best friend was. That never leaves your brain. And there were bits and pieces of the like underlying story, which we'll get to, that I do actually remember.
Okay,
I'm
so
like,
it did jog you a little bit?
A little bit, but it was still far enough removed from my brain that I was like, I was fucking enjoying the goddamn ride. I was having a great time. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Do you want to know when I read it? This morning.
Of course you did.
No, I had the concert last night and I had full intentions on reading it when I got back home from the concert. But the problem is I drank a lot. I've been hungover all morning.
All right.
I don't mean to like voice. No,
I don't mean to get ahead of ourselves, but when the deranged friend of this book calls semen gentleman's relish, how do you not have a winner on your hands? I'm just saying. Maybe you should read this book.
By the way,
I'm just saying.
Okay, so yes, the book is.
I don't say that about a lot. I'm just saying.
No, the book is called Sincerely Up Yours by Penelope Bloom. It's a rom-com and workplace. It's got a bunch of cool stuff to it. Main characters.
I also want to preface. Yes, I also want to preface that this is a rom-com. I would not call this a spicy rom-com. So if you're going into this wanting a spicy book, that should not be the intention. So
and I think that it was more focused on the rom-com than the spice.
This is a more comedic. Yes, there was only 3 mediocre scenes in the book, and they were not great, but the comedy made up for that to me. But for a couple people who tend to enjoy the spicier side of books, I just wanted to preface, if that's your jam and you go into books wanting that, don't go into this book wanting that. Yeah. This is when you need that palate cleanser, when you need that comedic in between. It was perfect for that for me.
Oh, absolutely. It was fabulous. So we want to get into it.
Sorry, like you said, this book features Darcy and Dominic, and it's a workplace rom-com. It opens up at a coffee shop, which we all know Crystal loves a coffee shop opening.
Yes, I do.
Darcy is waiting in line. She is ready to have the best day because she's going to go pitch a writing piece. She works at a magazine. She's going to pitch to her boss.
Can I be honest? I totally thought that it was a newspaper and not a magazine.
Yeah, that's kind of how it seemed at the beginning, but they kept throwing in the word magazine. That's the only reason. She's going to go pitch a monthly article to her boss because she has kind of been given carte blanche to pitch whatever she wants, and almost has been made aware that whatever she pitches, she's going to get because of something that she has done to earn this. Mm-hmm. And so she is riding on a high. She's like, nothing's going to ruin my mood. Fabulous, fabulous. Some dickwad cuts her in line. She's like, nothing's going to ruin this. It's all good. And then said dickwad is an even bigger douche nozzle to the barista. And I'm just going to flat out say that when a book can bring you the term douche nozzle in the first chapter, you know that it's going to be a ride. She kind of comes out of her zen a little and taps on his shoulder, and she's fired up. She's going to give him the what for because he's now talking down somebody else, and she's not going to let that slide until he turns around and he's clearly a gift from above. And she is lost for words. And he's like, basically like, what the fuck are you bothering me for?
I'm going to say my favorite line is I just about offered him up all my eggs for breeding the moment he stepped out of the elevator. I know that I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but bro.
You're good.
So fucking funny. I died. That is how hot this man is.
Oh, just you wait, because
it gets better.
one of the lines shows you how hot he is, like later on, where it says, my heart was already pounding and my vagina had already smashed the break-in case of emergency glass that apparently allowed me to get wet at fractions of a second.
And that's like, there was another one that was, I hadn't taken him for the inked up type, and my stupid vagina practically began penning me an enthusiastic letter about how we'd maybe misjudged him and shouldn't write him off as a complete irredeemable asshole just yet. Cool it, Vag.
So she totally thinks that this guy is a major a-hole, but moves on with her day, grabs her coffee. She is ready to rock her pitch. She's going to go to her work. She goes at the Squawker. That's where she works. Now, she has slightly mixed feelings about working at the Squawker. She's come to actually enjoy working there, but that was not her original intention in life. Mm-hmm. She had originally been at an Ivy League college with an internship at a huge newspaper, and she had written an expose on rich people who had bought their children's way into the college instead of them earning it academically. And one of the major dinkwad fathers that did this basically buried her because he can afford to do so, and had her expelled for that article. And she had to finish out her final year at a community college. Her internship was lost, and then she found her way to the Squawker, where she works now.
Well, I mean, getting accused of plagiarism in a college.
That's how he spun it. Yes, that's how he spun it. He said, it was plagiarism, even though there was no proof of that. There was no anything.
Yeah. Yep.
So she is raring, ready to go. She marches right up to her boss and is like, everything's great. Everything's wonderful. I'm ready to go. And she sees that her boss's office is being packed up. Yeah, no, everything's not great. Everything's not wonderful. It's just her boss ready to go. So her boss informs her that she is leaving. She quit because the Squawker is being acquired by a large company, and a new CEO is moving in to make some big decisions and shake things up and change things, and she does not want to be a part of that. So Darcy is deflated. She's like, mother truck, and goes back to her desk. So I know we are all shocked to find out that the new CEO is in fact Mr. Coffee Dickwad himself. So he's there. He's loud. He's proud. He's in charge. And he calls everybody to a meeting to announce the new changes.
Yeah.
Which I did not realize quite how hostile and sassy she was going to be.
She surprised herself at how hostile and sassy she was going to be. Because, like, even her internal monologue was like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Well, I think what happened was she was so pumped up for the day. She's so used to being meek and mild. And she was like, this is my big shot. I'm finally getting somewhere. And then all of a sudden, everything had been crushed beneath a shoe. And then she saw whose shoe it was underneath, and it was his. And she just lost it and lost every sense of common sense she could have, because he was sitting there trying to run this meeting and being like, hi, my name's Dominic Lockwood, and I'm going to be doing, and he's like, and what kind of qualifications do you have, bitch? And she was like, and it got so bad, he was like, you need to step outside.
He's my office now. Like, what the actual fuck? God, it was so funny.
He didn't understand. And then it clicked for her because he looked a little familiar
when he said his last name. Because even when she was at the coffee shop, she's like, this dude looks familiar and I can't place him. Mm-hmm. And then when he shows up into the office, she goes, he still looks familiar and I can't place him. And then he says his full name with his last name. She goes, motherfucker, really? So, and it just so happened because he is the son of the guy who destroyed her career, basically. So she's pissy. I mean, realistically,
he didn't know, but she didn't know he didn't know.
Exactly.
So he doesn't know who this lady is from a hole in the wall. All of a sudden, she's just making problems. But he's super attracted to her too, and he's like, oh my God.
I just loved it too, where he goes, "Can you not? Can you just dress like you're in an office?" And like the main reason is because she's wearing jeans, and it's just because he can't stop staring at her ass in the jeans. But he's just like playing it off like, you're being super unprofessional. Please dress accordingly, like you're working in an office. And she's just giving him sass back. And it's so fucking funny. Like, is it toxic? Probably a little bit, but I don't really care. It's kind of funny. It's great. This is the toxicity that I love reading about. It's lovely.
Oh, Crystal is a sucker for a workplace romance.
Oh, so much. Not in my personal life, because that shit crashes and burns.
No,
but in a book?
In a book. And that's why when I saw this one, I was like, this is a Crystal book to a T.
It's got everything I want in it.
This literally has Crystal's name written right over it.
It's as if Penelope Bloom wrote the book for me.
I'm surprised you weren't in the dedication.
I know. Listen, where's that dedication?
Penelope dropped the ball. What happened?
Just because she didn't meet
Where was your dedication? You better be in the next one.
I'm not.
To Crystal, with love.
Right.
Anywho, so sincerely up yours. So
so funny.
So he basically was like, dude, your days are numbered. Go ahead, mess up. And she basically was like, no.
You need me.
you need me. Not only am I the best person here, but I know your father's track record. And he got slapped real good the last time he came in swinging his dick around and firing people that didn't deserve it. I'm not going to give you any reason. I'm going to be a model employee, and look what's going to happen. So the game has begun.
Baby, let the games begin. Let the
Let
games
the
begin.
games begin.
Every time Taylor Swift, man, every episode. Please. Gotta get
Taylor
that
for life.
and Ice Planet Barbarians into every single one now.
Yes. Yes. Have you caught up? I'm waiting for you.
Bitch, I just came back from Japan and I've been slamming
You
trying
should
to
have
get
read them in Japan. Japan. In Japan. Put it in Japan.
between all of my running around like a crazy person.
You just bragged about all the books you've read this month.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? I had to be in a mood for it, and I was in a mood for
I know.
I let it.
But
So
I want to talk to you because the last time we talked about this, you mentioned that you heard somewhere
it's on TikTok.
and I want to talk to you about it because I don't agree. And
It's
I
funny
think that
because
they were
I
just
say that.
salty.
Okay, listen, here's the thing is if I've learned anything throughout doing
About
this
TikTok
podcast,
books,
it's
yeah.
that I can't trust people on TikTok. I can't
It's
always
not in
trust.
TikTok we trust. It's in Taylor we trust.
Exactly. Duh. Taylor Swift for president. But like,
2024.
yeah. Man, that woman has a lot going on. I don't think she should run for president.
No, she can't. But yeah, you got to catch up.
See, and that's what happens. Sidetracking off of Planet Barbarians. Let's go back to.
We always have time for big blue dick energy.
We do. I love a big
Okay.
blue dick energy. This man gives big blue
Especially
dick energy.
since this book gave so much big dick energy and it did not give it on the page, and that made me very salty. Okay. Anyway, so the games began. So there's this creepy dude at the office, like most offices have, Steve, and
Steve.
Smelly Steve. And he had his office by the big editor office, which has now been taken over by Dominic. And Dominic wanted to expand his office, as Darcy called it, for his big ego. So they had to find somewhere to put his desk. So obviously he was going to put it basically right on top of Darcy's because the games have begun. And he also is a big, like, basically walking ad for sexual harassment. But Dominic didn't know any of this because the last lady wasn't good about keeping track of all that. And so while she's trying to hold her breath and figure it out, and then she keeps skipping away to the break room to chat with her friend Elizabeth, which
I love her so much. She is my spirit animal.
If you looked up Hot Mess Express in the dictionary, there would be a picture of Elizabeth.
In the best.
Shit just flies out of her mouth. And I don't understand how she didn't get fired on the first day. I truly do not.
I think because she's just good at her job.
I don't think that's it.
I love her so much. Where's Elizabeth's book?
So, that being said, this book did hint at a book between Elizabeth and Tristan, where
yes,
this is one of the lines that Elizabeth said. She says, "Oh, I have this rule. If a guy can throw me 3 feet, I ignore 3 red flags. 4 feet means 4 red flags, and so on. I think Tristan could throw me super far, so there's really no amount of red flagging to scare me off him." And Tristan really likes her hair because she has blue hair. So I'm wondering when if they have a book, because it's not attached to this as a series. So I wonder if they just distributed it individually, and I'm going to have to search for it. And when Elizabeth met Dominic at the office and she could see the tension between Darcy and Dominic, she even said to him, she goes, "Helpful hint, if you want to discipline Darcy, don't spank her. I tried that at a sleepover once when we were kids and she moaned and then got super weird. Pretty sure she liked it." Like, how is this girl not fired? Seriously, she like carried a lot of this book. Between Darcy's inner monologue and Elizabeth,
it was so good.
If it wasn't for those two, this book probably would not have been even half as amusing as it was. Anywho, so Darcy went off chatting with Elizabeth in the break room. Dominic obviously was like, "What the truck?" Found out about Smelly Steve, found out all about Smelly Steve, he got
Ugh.
mad and then went to have a little chat with Steve, which of course Steve said that's smellism and he can't remove him from the area. He can't subject him to the corner because it's basically like not being kind to him just because he reeks.
He's awful, and he's just creepy and disgusting.
Darcy and Elizabeth and their other workplace friend go to the bar to hang out after work because they're having a week because their whole place just got taken over. The people are being fired because Dominic is watching them carefully. He's installed spyware on the computers. They know it, but it's kind of like when you're at school, they all have the stuff where we can see all their computers at the same time.
Yeah.
So he's seeing them doing all kinds of weird stuff, and he's trying to find reasons to get rid of everyone so he can move his own people in, but he's having to do it legally. And so he's, one person's like training their cat to flush the toilet for them.
Dude, so fucking
like
wild. What a weird
eBaying weird shit. Like the weird stories in this. So this is an example, ladies and gentlemen, of how to have wild shit that doesn't make any sense in your book, but actually have it flow in a way that works and not be just a hot pile of dog shit.
Yep.
You're welcome for that lesson in life, because
the more you know.
So they're at the bar, they're doing their thing, they're enjoying themselves, when some sleaze bucket shows up Darcy went out on a date with, and she had a bad date with him. It was like an online Tinder date type of thing. He ended up making her pay for everything and didn't give her any attention, just ditched her kind of thing. So this douche nozzle saunters right up to her, thinking he can get free drinks now.
Oh my God.
And she's like, what the fuck is he doing here? Like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. But all her friends that are all out at the bar with her are doing their own thing, and they're all in their own conversations. And they're not paying her any mind, and they don't realize how uncomfortable she is while this guy's saddling her up, telling the bartender, hey, put this on her tab.
It's like the epitome of a leak. You had one date with her, bruh.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't go anywhere. But there is somebody paying attention. He just happens to be there with Marcus and Tristan, his friends that are helping with the magazine with him, which I'm just going to take a minute. And I kind of super vibed Marcus.
Me too.
Okay, just
easy breeziness.
Yeah, and he had what, like 6, 7 sisters?
Yeah,
and
he has a
so
lot
it made him such a diplomatic.
I loved him. Yeah,
situational. He kept having to come in and clean up physically. If this was a mafia book, he'd be the fixer, the cleaner.
Why does it always come back to a mafia book for you?
I got problems.
A lot of them. It's you.
But this book ain't one. Problem. I am. I need a shirt that says that. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Oh yeah, they probably have lots of those, don't they?
Absolutely.
So Dominic is there, and he sees this happening because obviously he's just as enthralled with Darcy as she is with him, and he can't keep his eyes off her. So all of a sudden, douche nozzle is sitting there next to her, trying to milk her for all she's worth, and the next second, he is on the floor.
Yep.
I enjoyed this scene very much. Just saying. Marcus is all like, oh, it happens to everyone, buddy. You fell off your stool.
I know, sometimes
they're
and he's
like, look. And Dominic's like,
well, sometimes they're a little wobbly, and God, it was so funny.
But according to half the people on Goodreads, there's nothing funny about this book.
Oh my God, well,
sorry.
There were people who got really, really super in-depth about Ice Planet Barbarians. So
it blows my mind. So things got heated at the bar. Darcy was basically like, dude, what the fuck? And they came to an agreement after a heated discussion that she would interview him for the magazine. And if it did not bring in new subscribers and it did not do well as an article, she would be fired. Mm-hmm. And if it did well, he would not threaten her job anymore. And they agreed on this. All good. This is the pact moving forward. Bam.
I
But a
love.
stipulation to that,
No, I love this part. It was so funny.
yes, a stipulation to that is that she can ask him for an interview at any time.
Yeah.
So Darcy takes this seriously and she's like, bitch, watch this. I'm not going to let him clam up. I'm not going to let him just foil me. And her sister is a budding artist. She is, 19? And she has some paintings at a gallery and they are having an art show. And Darcy goes to all her sister's art shows, her sister Eloise. And she's like, good. Dominic can come for his interview. He can tag along to the art show.
I love the fact she takes full advantage of the fact that her stipulation was anytime I need you to.
Yep. I have full access to you when
So funny. So good.
Yeah. Well, because she knows he's going to clam up and that she's not going to be able to really get anything from him. So by doing it this way, she can kind of come at him from all kinds of different angles and hopefully get some kind of loosened variation of him and he'll slip up.
Yeah.
So they have their, first interview sort of at the art gallery. And at this art gallery, we also meet Eloise's boyfriend, Basil, which anytime a book or a movie puts a dumbass boyfriend character, always makes me die of laughter because they're always some fuddy-duddy artist type who thinks they're a hot shit when they're really not, and they're like pretentious as fuck. Anyhow, she did feel like she was able to get a little bit of information though from him, and he felt frustrated by that because he did go into it with the intention of giving her squat.
Yep.
And then, they had to shut that the fuck down.
Yeah.
So
because he notices what she's doing and he goes, oh shit, and then he's gonna like stop. But like,
and he feels comfortable with her.
And that's what gets you get the comfort. Ask Gabrielle, she's comfortable with me and half the shit she says is great. You learn a lot.
She is not thwarted by his quick shutdown. She is instead ready to up her game. And it's like, okay, I'll do you one better. Come to my family's Sunday dinner at my parents' house. You want to talk about Sunday dinner?
Her family. I'm just going to put this out here. I hate her dad.
Yeah, her dad is literally the one who had pushed her all this time
to be,
and had
yeah, and he doesn't feel like her job at the current place she is at is respectable enough. And he used to be,
because everything's about image to him,
right? And he used to be a writer and all this other stuff, and so until the publication stopped taking his work, which, I mean, here's the thing. If that's the case, that might be a hint as to how your writing is going. So
it's not even just her. He's put pressure on both his kids. They needed to.
He did, but I feel like he's more mean, I guess. Not really mean, but like.
Because her footsteps are similar to his. So
exactly. So he's like really pushing her. And of course, like we learn later on that she was pushed to do piano.
She enjoyed it, but she was good. She just wasn't great.
Yeah, I guess.
And she enjoyed it, but she was mad because he didn't think it was worth the time to do it because obviously she could not achieve greatness at it when she just wanted to play because she enjoyed it. So they had Sunday dinner. Basil's there, the sister's there.
I call him
it's all a hot mess. Well, the only reason I don't is because of this other TV show I watched where it was like a running joke. Her mom, who's a piece of shit, a man named Basil, and she calls him Basil. And they get all mad at her because it's Basil. And this book had a scene like that where Elizabeth was like, Basil? Like, were you going to put it on something or something? And then somebody else went, it's Basil. And like the italic, that's why since that scene, that's why I've been calling him Basil, because it reminded me so much of that, because that's what I imagined. I read it just like that. So he's there, he's being pretentious, and he's taking up a lot of the air. because they're talking about galleries and stuff. So Darcy's not really having to worry about a
And
lot.
her dad is like eating this shit up with this dude. Like,
Yes, because they live on that same pretentious plane.
Mhm.
So Dominic's just sitting there watching this, and he's like, these pricks are fucking ridiculous over here. But then he starts to see the dynamic for exactly what it is, and starts to see Darcy's dad dive in on her a little bit about her job. Like, well, when are you going to get a better position? When are you going to actually find an actual prestigious job? And this, that, and the next thing. And he kind of like is like, have you actually read anything that your daughter has written for that?
well, no, I don't really
I'm too
have
busy for things like that.
bitch.
I don't have time for those kind of magazines.
Can I
But it's
say,
your daughter.
right? Like, what the fuck? Can I say though, I think a really funny part of this whole dinner party was when Dominic first gets to the dinner party and her mom fucking outs her instantly. She goes, "Oh my God, Darcy told us you were handsome. She didn't say you were gorgeous." And he goes, "I didn't know Darcy found me handsome." And she's like, "I think you think you're handsome."
Does that count? Yeah.
And of course he's like, "Why am I here?" She's like, "Because you made the mistake of telling me I could get you pinned down for an interview whenever I wanted. I'm punishing you." And then he goes back to the Elizabeth did say something about enjoyment when she spanked you before all the depressing shit. But yeah, oh my God, it was good. I liked it.
So he though has kind of his first big role with her where he's not just a giant jerk, and he turns it on her dad and tells him off and is basically like, dude, you're a piece of shit. Yeah. And you should be proud of your daughter. What are you doing? And they leave. He's like, let's go. And they leave. And then they go get some ice cream.
Before they left, though, is when he learns about their history.
Yeah.
So it gets brought up at dinner. It gets brought up at dinner because they, Basil is like talking about different things. Basil's going off on whatever. And then Lainey, that's her mom. She's like, "I want to hear about you. How did you start working with her?" And then Darcy's like, "I'll take it. Dominic's father bought the ownership in this. And so then they were going into that. And then her sister brought up the fact that, "Oh, well, she went to Columbia and this." And he goes, "I didn't know you went to Columbia." And then it starts to come out they were there at the same time. And then they're like, "Tell the story." And she goes, "It's not that important. It's just long and boring." And so then Eloise, her sister, explains literally everything going on. And Darcy is like not having a great time with the story because this is not something she wanted to really tell him. And then that's when like her dad starts like, blah, 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 blah. But the huge thing with this was like how shitty her dad is to her. And also,
and Dominic standing up for her.
And Dominic standing up for her and him finding out like, oh, fuck, my family just fucked her over.
Dominic gets her out of there. They go for ice cream. And she tries to interview him again and fails miserably attempting to interview him. And they basically just end up fighting with each other.
And then I do love the teenage girls, the ice cream thing. Is it your boyfriend or is it your dad? We're the same age. How do you?
Yeah, because they're both like 25, so it's like they're not like.
They thought she was like in her like late 30s, almost 40. That part was funny, but yeah, the ice cream situation was adorable. And then like,
but since she didn't get anything basically from that second attempt of an interview, she had to up her game yet again. And she found out that Dominic goes jogging regularly in the morning. And Darcy is not a runner, but she thinks that if she can catch him tired and like in a exercise-induced high, that he might be more equipped to open up. So she starts jogging around the same path that he does every morning.
So funny.
It doesn't go well.
No. But also prior to that too, sorry, we just got to run it back a little bit. They're talking about becoming friends is a bad idea. And he goes, "I can't be the boss who falls for their employee or makes friends with my employee." And she goes, "So we can't be friends, but you can stare at my ass all the time?" And I was like, "Girl, you call that motherfucker out." But that's kind of what they were arguing about. Cause like, I mean, they're very clearly attracted to each other.
Right. Well,
And
that's right.
they are kind of
Goes without saying what they.
yeah, well, yeah, and he feeds her ice cream very sexually. Like, this man is tempting himself, and he's like, this is gonna be a problem. And then she goes and chases him. Dude, I can't run either.
No. And she clearly is not used to running because he's lapped her continuously
It's so
and
funny.
she's so out of breath and barely making it from one bench to the other.
Mhm.
And he's just like, yeah, this is not working. So the next attempt is Marcus. Marcus's sister is throwing him a party for his new job at the magazine because they find any excuse whatsoever to throw a party. So everybody at the magazine is invited to this party. And she goes, okay, that's my next one. We're going to this party together. And I'm driving, bitch. And
because the problem is because he drove her somewhere the last time and she
to the
couldn't
ice cream place.
to the ice cream
Yeah.
place and she couldn't leave. She had to wait for him. So this way she has control
Because
over
after
it.
they fought, she's like, yeah, she felt out of control because she just had to
Yes.
wait for him. Yeah.
I
And she's like,
will-
this way I can just leave you behind when we
Yeah. Before we get to the party though, she does meet up with her male friend, which has the most odd name.
Yeah.
Charleston.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's got in this whole as they're talking.
Honestly, I don't even have him listed in any of my timeline because it wasn't important enough for me.
Please, please. I think it was funny because they were talking about how he's like, you need to take that dick for a ride or see how things go and don't make commitments. And she goes, he's my boss. And she's like, that sounds like it's his problem, not your problem. And she's like, I don't even know if that's what I want. He's like, a dick is not a mortgage. Have him wrap it up. And then he goes, fine, I'll fuck him. Give me his number and I'll let you know if he's worth it. And that was just, but I think my favorite line out of this whole section was, I'm not in denial. I'm in not knowable. The way he's speaking, she's like, you're sounding like Elizabeth. And well, you know, but so the party thing too, I'm going to say this was, besides the knowing about her getting kicked out of Columbia part, that's kickstarted my brain. The party, I remember vividly because of what happened at the party on the roof. As soon as they were up there, I was like, oh my God, that's right. And then I proceeded to laugh hysterically.
So she picks him up from work and they are flirting up the wazoo and they're talking and she's goading him.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, why can't we be friendly? Obviously, there's an attraction here because, like you said, they had fought on the ice cream date about it and it's kind of been stewing around in her brain and she's just like ready to come at him about it. And he's kind of trying to put some distance from her because he knows he's weak. And he's like, I'm going to the roof when they get to the party. And she's like, I'm coming too.
Because it's her way to get him alone for not only.
And then when he tries to stop her, she's like, nope, this is my interview time.
That's her in, baby.
So they get up to that roof and she basically just starts blowing him.
It was so, well, she's tempting him ahead of time.
Well, yes, but I'm just, long story short, she basically just drops his pants and starts blowing him, which is hilarious. And then she's basically like, now you do the same to me kind of thing. And then he goes to start and Marcus shows up on the roof, which is hilarious because then he locks himself up there with them.
So fucking funny because like he goes, he's like, oh shit, when you're done, like Allie's looking for you. And he goes, wait, Darcy, is that you? And she just like looks over.
I'll just turn around so you can finish.
That's the thing. He's like, well, so first of all, locked up here. But I mean, are you eating her out back there? Because we could also just call one of my sisters to rescue me and you guys could just like carry on once
I'm liking the soundtrack of Mac and Cheese. Like, I was like, oh my God. When nothing actually happened, he only had her pants down. Like, it wasn't
he was in between her legs though, but his dick is still hanging out of his pants.
Right.
But so,
right. But I meant like he didn't actually get to
he hadn't gotten there yet. He was leading up to it. And Darcy's like, it's not what it looks like. He goes, No? Did Dominic get a sudden rash outbreak on his dick?
I
He
needed you
to
to check
look
his
at
dick.
it, and then but
Yeah.
you both lost your balance, and he fell with his ass out and face between your legs on the couch of my club. But seriously, as soon as they got locked up there, I was like, oh shit, I remember this. I remember laughing so fucking hard when this
and
happened.
she was pretty sassy because she's like, you owe me.
You owe me an orgasm.
Yeah. And so they quickly parted ways and were like, peace out, Girl Scout.
There was only one other funny part is when she was asking if she needed to jump off a roof now. She's like, do I need to just change my identity and just jump off a roof? So it's gonna happen now. I fucking laughed, dying. Thing so fucking funny. So awkward, but honestly, again, what we were talking about, this book is funny. I don't know if these people just are dead inside. We are dead inside.
Maybe we're just the target demographic. Maybe. I don't know.
We have to be, because this shit was so fucking funny.
Because honestly, that joke, listening to you say it, that is in pretty poor taste these days.
What joke? What did
somebody
I just say?
Like, oh, do I need to just go jump off a roof?
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was like, oh, wait, maybe that's a problem. So he then avoids her for the next week, and she's bullshit about it. So she texts him because she's like rip shit. She texts him a raindrop and a check and a question mark, like rain check, ready for my orgasm now. And he ignores it. He ignores the text. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go jogging with him again. I'm ready to bring it back home, bitch. And he is like, what the fuck? He's like, are you serious? You want to run with me? And she's like, haven't you seen me training? To him, she's going in slow motion.
And he's like, how far did you? He's like, how far did you run?
She's sweating and dripping. And she's only gone about 100 feet. And she's like, it was quite a workout.
He's like, how far did you run from that bench to here?
So then, while they're all in their little argument and whatnot, and he's trying to brush her off, she trips and falls and twists her ankle. And he's like, good Lord, what else? And
she's like, no, I'm good. I can walk. And he goes, no,
right. And he's like, well, he's like, do you live close by? And she goes, no, actually, I live really far away, but I wanted to get this interview.
And it was just so funny too, because he's like, let me look. And she's like, do you have medical experience? Jesus.
Yeah. Which brought it back to the first day where it's like, and what is your expertise in this?
Yeah. And then of course he's like, I think this should be your sign to retire from sprinting. She's like, I wasn't sprinting, I was jogging. And she's like, well, I had to take a bus and I hate buses. And he goes, well, what about a cab? She's like, yeah, but I don't like cabs. And he goes, well, I'll just drive
murderers. People will murder you and get up.
Oh my God. Have you, the people murder? And he goes, fine, I'll just drive you. And she goes, I wouldn't mind riding you with you. I'm like, girl, why are you like this?
And then basically she convinces him to take her back to his sex house.
Cave.
We need an air quote. Insert air quotes here.
I just like the fact that we did the fucking air quotes at the exact same
together.
Time.
Yep. We did some rabbit ears together.
We're here, man. We're here, baby. It's not a sex cave, it's a sex palace. Like,
yes.
Christ, girl.
So then he takes her back to his sex palace. And then they have sex, naturally, in the sex palace. And he decides he's going to keep her all weekend. And it's kind of cute. Not the sex part, the keeping her part. And they sit there and watch a rom-com in bed with greasy pizza and boxed wine. And she's just showing him a window to her world. Like, this is what I really enjoy doing. This is important to me, kind of thing. And he's like, what the fuck? But he's down for the ride. He's soaking it up because he explains to her, my dad's coming to the office. So he confided in her that part of his worry and part of his coveting her of the weekend is that Daddy Dearest is coming to the Squawker on Monday. So on Dominic's side, his father is a tool bag, and his father has always kind of set him up to fail because his father is afraid, basically, of Dominic surpassing him or taking over for him. And so now that he's getting older and whatnot, basically, in Dominic's eyes, he gave him this magazine because he thought there was no way he could succeed at it. It was just another thing that his father could rub in his nose if it were to fail.
Mhm.
So he's really concerned about his father coming to the office and having a problem with everything, seeing Darcy, the whole 9 yards. So he's soaking up this weekend with her, and that's why they find themselves watching this rom-com in bed with pizza and boxed wine.
It's so cute.
And yes, they have this moment. But unfortunately, everything has to end at some point, and Daddy Dearest does come to the office Monday morning. And he immediately sees the connection between Darcy and Dominic and decides to utilize it for his own benefit.
Dominic sees that his dad clocks it and he goes, shit, I already know how my dad works, and he is going to literally take this and destroy me because he used to bang his own employees. Not Dominic, his dad used to bang his employees and stuff. And his dad really just gave this to Dominic to fail. So he's like, maybe I can use this to make him fail even harder.
Exactly.
And
he recognizes Darcy for who she is.
Yeah, he knows exactly. Yeah, because he calls her into the office, I believe, at one point. He knows because his dad's a piece of shit, and his dad knows every person he's ever destroyed because he's a garbage human. You know?
Yep.
Ugh, boo.
So, being the big, I shouldn't say big because he probably has a little dick for all the dick swinging he does, for all the energy he pushes off trying to make himself look like he's got big dick energy.
Overcompensating.
Exactly. He's like one of those guys with the big trucks that needs it to sound loud.
Super lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Look what I have. So he needs to take over on the Squawker and make all these people in the office bow down to him basically and see what a great person he is and how fantastic and successful he is. So he tells them all that weekend he is flying everybody out to California to watch him do his motivational speech that he has booked in California for that weekend, and that they are all expected to attend. It is technically optional, but basically it's kind of implied that like you're not there, you're gone. Yeah. So they all go to California. Darcy's never been to California before. Thinks kind of cool. Elizabeth's living her best life. She thinks shit's great. She's just eating everything in sight on Daddy Lockwood's dime, and she's just having the best.
She's just awesome.
The best time of her life. She's had best time of her life. Anyways, so I don't know. I got nothing. So Dominic is kind of paranoid about the whole thing, doesn't really want to be seen with Darcy as much, and slips her his room key and is like, meet me after the conference. We got to talk. Super cryptically. Great. So she does.
Dominic, you idiot.
Yeah, Dominic is so stressed out.
You gorgeous idiot.
Yeah, he's so stressed out about his father that he just word vomits, and he's just trying to hold on to this magazine so tightly that he doesn't realize what he's losing in doing so. And Darcy's just trying to help. She's like, well, what about my pitch that I tried to give you, the original one that she had tried to give her first boss? And he basically like just slammed her down. It's no good. I don't know why you keep trying to give me pitches. That's not your job, blah, 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 blah. And he just was so mean to her, slammed her down hard. And she was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he said all kinds of not nice things. And she's like, I'm worth more than this. Like, fuck you. Peace out, Girl Scout. And decided to go get drunk at the bar instead. Yeah, she decided to go get drunk at the bar instead, where Marcus was like,
I love Marcus.
You okay? Like, everything good?
Obviously not.
Right? Like, obviously Dominic did something, right? Yeah. And she just went on this giant rant about what an asshole he was. And he's like, I'm going to go check on him.
He's like, I can talk to him for you. She goes, no. And he goes, I'm going to go check on him because if he said all those things, then that man is
he's wallowing in, yep.
And instant regret. He's not, yeah.
So, okay.
Oh, God.
Here's the thing. up until this point of the book, I was having a fabulous time.
Okay.
It was funny. Things were going, yeah, the pacing sometimes was kind of weird because sometimes we'd have just a couple days go by, sometimes a week would go by. On a whole, it wasn't that bad. I was along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was there for it. Like, I was here and I was vibing. I was totally vibing the whole book. And then came this chapter where all we got was an opening line of, "It felt like months since I'd been at the Squawker."
Yeah.
Or
So
I felt like months since I'd been at California. And then the next page, it was like, I quit my job 3 months ago. Yeah, obviously then it felt like months, dipshit.
yeah, so when all of this stuff happened, especially this last part of the book, the timing and timeline got a little wonky. It would skip ahead a lot. I think
and the way that it was written, it kind of was a little,
yeah, so I
it
think
felt a little rushed. It felt like we were along for this ride for 75% of the book, and then the last 20% felt a little rushed in a different bubble.
So I think it would have been beneficial if the time jumps were written at the top of the chapters. We've read plenty of books. I like when
Right.
books do that so that I at least
Yeah.
know how long things have gone because
Yeah, because like at one point it was 3 months and then it was a month. It was strange. And not only was it strange, but it was also written strangely too, where that first one where it was like, it felt like months. And then the next page, it was 3 months. Well, so obviously it felt like months if it was months.
yeah.
And wording things like that was strange. And overall, the last 25% just felt really rushed.
Yeah.
Whereas the first 75%, I was along for the ride and vibing because there was so much comedic relief and it was funny. There wasn't as much in the last 25%, so I could not vibe along for the ride as much. I'm not saying the last 25% was bad. I'm just saying there seemed to be a disconnect between that first part and the last part. And that, I don't know, for some reason it was weird for me. So long story short, after she walked out of the hotel with douche canoe Dominic, she quit her job and took an offer from her old editor, the one that she was originally going to pitch her idea to in the first chapter, who was working at the Union Coast,
which
I
was
think
her
it's a
dream
newspaper.
and it was her dream position.
Well, it was her father's.
Well,
dream
yeah.
position.
So, but that was the place
Originally, what she was working for when she went to Columbia.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry. So she learned the hard way that the grass is not always greener, and it was a very grinding position. She was very unhappy there. She had no autonomy. She had no voice. She just had everything researched and done for her, and she basically just had to type it up. And it was just a constant schedule of grinding. And she just felt very bleak.
Yeah, she wasn't allowed to have her own creativity. You couldn't really pitch anything. And so feeling stifled like that. And of course, thinking this whole time that like that was the job I wanted to get as soon as college was
She
over
couldn't have
with
opinions
Columbia.
on pieces.
And like, yeah, like you said, grass is not always greener on the other side. So it sucks. Unfortunately, it's a learning lesson. But at the same time, she would have probably done anything to get out of the situation that she had been in with Dominic and stuff.
With Dominic and his father, right? When she knew she was on the chopping block with him anyways. So she just took the opportunity that was given to her.
Took herself out of the equation.
So she did try to live in the moment, even though she was unhappy at her place of work. And she tried to have regular meetups with her work friends that like Elizabeth and the guy's name that I did not write down, Farid, and Polly. And they continued to go out for drinks and stuff. And one of them, either Polly or Elizabeth, happened to mention Dominic's name, and everything kind of grinded to a halt. And she was like, wait, how's he doing, kind of thing. And it had been months and she was still missing him, and she made it very clear that she was still mad, though she missed him, but she was still very mad about the situation. And they were all kind of like, well, we could talk to him if you want. No, please don't. Like, this is the situation we're in.
Because then she starts like, she does like kind of admit she like misses him and stuff. And she's like,
Right.
Oh my God, he is an absolute fucking tyrant, and work is
He clearly misses you
so
too. Yeah.
awful. He's just firing people. He's obviously missing her. He's just firing people left and right. He's so snippy.
And they're
He's
like, can
there
we
all
do it
the
because it would
time.
help us?
Right?
And
I
she's like, no,
mean,
please don't.
self-preservation
Right.
type of thing.
Right. Though, even though Darcy told them not to,
Holly does go up to
Holly
him.
wanted that self-preservation and did go up to him and was like, she misses you. She was
also
talking about
tricked
you.
him a little bit, and
That's
this
what I
is
mean.
great. Ugh.
She was talking about you. She's just afraid to kind of like make the first move or whatever. Some bullshit like that. And was totally not true. So he was like, really? Went and got her flowers and went right to her new workplace.
He got her the ugliest bouquet of flowers because he couldn't decide which one, so he just got like one of each color, and it's like this hideous.
And one of each flower and everything.
It was so fucking funny, and yeah, he goes to her building, and she's like, he can't go in, so he's like, just page her. The girl's like, listen, I called for her 3 times. She says she does not want to see you, and then he just like looks at her. Looks at the staircase. He goes, I'm sorry. And then fucking hoofs his ass up. And he gets in there and he's like, shit.
And he realizes it's not open.
It's not open floor plan.
Theirs
so
is.
Everyone's behind like frosted glass. So he's like calling out her name. Security's
Darcy!
Security's like coming up. And she comes out and he goes,
what the hell?
What are you doing? He was like, I brought you these. I didn't know which one you look. And then she's like, he gets dragged out by security. And
she's basically like, I told them not to let you up. I don't want to see you. And it dawns on him that Polly basically conned him. And, well, you could let me walk out on my own with dignity. And she's like, no, I don't think I will. I think I'll let security drag you out.
And of course, like afterwards, she goes, I can't believe I fucking did that. Like,
she had major regret.
So when she's because she was talking to, I think it was her friend Charleston, right? That's his name.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
She was talking to him, and he goes,
They were in bed watching the movie because it made her think of him. So now she had to sit there and watch Snowy with a Chance of Love with Charleston.
So funny, and he's just like. You had him dragged out by security.
Oh, he was loving it. Charleston was loving it.
Oh, God.
But it's funny because while she's sitting there watching Snowy with a Chance of Love with Charleston, eating pizza, Dominic is by himself in bed watching Snowy with a Chance of Love, doing rom-com research on how to fix it. And Mark's is in his kitchen drinking his beer.
And he goes, he's really? Like, pizza? What is happening?
What are you doing? What this is the saddest thing I've ever seen. And he's like, I don't know how to fix it, man. I'm trying to do my research.
It's like, this is her favorite movie, and I think it's got to be some kind of like...
There has to be some kind of clue here, man. Like, and he's watching it over. It's like his 20th time rewatching.
Which, honestly, this is such a...
Kudos.
I know that this is a book, and it's not real. But, like, this kind of goes to show, if he could, he would. If he wanted to, he would watch your favorite rom-com movie 20-ish to 50 times in a row to figure out how to fix him being a super fuck-up. Also get you the ugliest fucking bouquet of flowers on the entire planet because he doesn't know. But, like, here you go. Here is your standard of what you should look for. If a dude fucks up, make him get dragged out of your office by security. By drag. So
Marcus is like, dude, look at the movie. What is it they're doing? Think about this. How can you fix this? What is your big grand gesture? And that's when he's like, oh, fuck. And he's got a formulated plan. Then we're back at Darcy's parents' house. She's at her Sunday dinner. And this one's a tough one because she hasn't seen them in a while because she's been avoiding them since the fallout with her dad. But she feels like she has to tell them because her dad's been texting her up the wazoo because he's all excited about her job at the Union Coast.
And he's like bragging about her to his friends. My daughter is this. And I'm like, bruh.
She comes bearing news. And thankfully, her sister has ditched Basil. And has figured out that she is way too good for him, which is funny because when she first introduced him and met him, we forgot about this part, or I did, but I just remembered how she introduced him. She met him under a bridge.
Oh my God, yes.
And
like a bridge troll.
and Elizabeth was there. So of course, since Elizabeth is there, you know, she goes kind of like a troll. All I could think of was, it's a grumpy old troll who lives under the bridge. Solve my riddle.
Oh my God.
If you want to come over, all you have to do is this. All you have to do is this. No? Dora the Explorer?
No, I didn't really watch Dora the Explorer, but okay.
Listen, I play grumpy old troll on the playground all the time. So Basil and his bridge troll is gone. So he's not at dinner. But Eloise can smell what the rock is cooking. And she sees a trouble brewing once Darcy starts opening her mouth about her work. And she spits out, I quit my job today. And her dad loses his bananas, but luckily saved by the doorbell.
So annoying. Her dad.
The doorbell or her dad? Yeah, I was like, wait a second.
No, her dad, not the doorbell.
And who is behind the door?
You know,
Dominic. Not with crazy flowers, but with a manila envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And she just looks at him while her dad's like throwing a tantrum. And she just slams the door in his face.
I mean, she did say it was a knee-jerk reaction.
She is so reactionary.
I love it.
She like reacts first and thinks later, and most of the time regrets her decisions in hindsight. But it's comical to the story.
Yeah.
Then she opens the door again because she'd rather deal with him than her father at that moment. He hands her the envelope and is like, listen.
Oh, it's just so cute. I was just swooning. It's like it's just basically these lawyer options because like he ended up buying out his dad because his dad had put up the money to start the business, and that's why. So,
but it's confusing to me because if he's been so under his dad's thumb this whole time, why wouldn't he have done something like this?
Because he probably did not actually have the money and stuff to do it ahead of time, because now, ever since she left, the magazine has gotten so much better, so much bigger, so much better, and they've
think all of the funds came from his money as CEO?
Well, yeah, because his everything's been because of the increase of how popular the magazine has been getting. And
that would be profits for his father, not him. He would just be his CEO.
It's profits for the business, I guess. So, I mean, he could have just been. I don't know, because I do know.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. But this is one of those this parts of this like last 25% that I felt like was
I felt like because the
magazine, crunchy in the details.
Unless his dad was letting him do it, because now that the magazine is super, super successful, like, what does his dad have to, like, he doesn't give a shit. He really only put him in that position to watch him fail. And
but I mean, why couldn't he have just bought his own thing and just split from his father to begin with? Kind of like Marcus did, where he just was like, fuck you.
But listen, it could also be he's trying to prove a point now. Like, when he got into it, too. His whole goal was, he's like, I need to show that this is successful. Like, that I can do this. So maybe it just
kind of like as a fuck you to his dad. Yeah
basically. So it ended up being, so like they bought out his share because like he's the one who gave the money to start the business in the first place. But he presents her with these options. They're all written out, and like the first one is
him, Marcus, and Tristan bought out his father. Yes,
all three of them bought out the father together. So
option one was that she come on as an equal fourth partner. Option two was he steps back and she comes in as an equal third partner with Tristan and Marcus. And option three, he sells all his shares to Tristan and Marcus, and the two of them leave Tristan and Marcus to the Squawker, and they start their own magazine / newspaper together.
And option
and he's like, this is my grand gesture for you.
Well, hold on. Option 4.
There's an option 4. Yes. Yep.
Which his lawyer told him he didn't actually need to do, but he still did it anyways, was she can tell him to go fuck off.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm not going to, but it's an option.
Yeah. It's just I love it. I think that that's such a good grand gesture, especially where her desire and drive to do that kind of stuff really showcases it, and it was a good gesture for him to do.
So I was actually
Or not.
surprised.
Sorry.
What?
You
I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
No, I was actually surprised which option she chose. Were you? Or no?
A little bit.
I don't know. For some reason, I assumed she'd take option one and the four of them would run the place together.
Okay, so I guess maybe
Spoiler
not.
alert, she didn't choose that.
No. I think I was and I wasn't. I think maybe she just wanted something for her own, and I guess that would just make more sense.
I
Because,
guess.
well, then she has
because now they're direct competition with Marcus and Tristan. I don't know. I just felt
true,
like,
but she now has like her own creative control kind of thing. You know what I mean?
and I
Like,
felt like if Marcus and Tristan were getting their own books, it would have been nice if they were directly still involved. I don't know. It just,
I don't know. I was and I wasn't surprised. It would make more sense for them to partner together, but if like her whole thing is she wanted to be able to write the stories that she wanted to write, and so being able to go a different route and not be with other people, yeah, maybe they are going to be competition and direct competition and stuff, but she gets to do this thing she likes, and it's the thing she really loves. So like maybe she didn't want to be associated with that business anymore because she just had all of this shit happen to her with that specific business, and maybe a fresh start was something she really, really needed. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you need a new fresh start. So I get it. The smarter choice financially would have been the first option. She wasn't thinking financial.
So they chose to start their own company. It's called McLean Media Bites. But she also said that in choosing this, he also had to agree that she was his girlfriend. And he was like, okay, guess we're moving on at that at that point. But also she's like, and my lease is up next week, so we're moving in too.
He goes, what? She's like, yeah, in our house, and he goes, what? And she goes, well, my lease is up, so like, here you go.
She's like, you're moving in with me? She's like, you want me to move in? He's like, oh, you didn't give him a choice. What are you talking about? So they have their company together. She even lets her dad write for them. It becomes very popular, obviously, to stick it to his dad. There never ends up being any kind of resolution with the dad and her, with the whole college thing. But I mean, I guess what can you really do about it? He proposes to her at their launch party or whatever. And then we get an epilogue 1 year later where she announces her pregnancy to him. And that's the book, ladies and gentlemen.
It was so funny.
I mean, I enjoyed this book. I did.
I did too. So, honestly, I mean, it was really funny. It was good. It was a nice, like, kind of like refresher book, realistically, you know, especially coming back from me traveling and doing all that other stuff. So it was nice to not delve into something super, super, super deep.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good read. So Amazon gives it a 4.2 and Goodreads gives it a 3.98. Where are you sitting?
Which is great because I gave it a solid 4.
I think I read you
only because
I thought you wrote a 4.5.
Well, I kept going back and forth. I at one point I wrote 4.25, then I wrote 3. I kept going, and I ended up. And at one point it was like 3.75. Like I kept going back and changing a lot.
I have it as a 4.25.
At one point mine was 4.25 too. But my problem is I very much enjoyed this book. And it was very funny. And she had me for the first 75%.
It's that last 25%.
But the last 25% was not that great. And the smut was shitty. So solid 4 for me.
There you go. Well,
but that's hey, solid 4 for this.
Oh yeah, for sure. So with that too, I guess your smut rating is going to be low. Your cucumbers.
I'm going to give it a 3 for the 3 scenes that were in it, even though they weren't awesome.
So I gave it a 5, and here is why.
Okay.
It was good for the kind of book that this was. There was
but I'm rating on like a how spicy is this book scale. Like
We change how we rate it every single time. Because we've done it before. We've rated it based on the type of book it was with the smut that we have. So I rated it a 5 for it because it was good for the book that it was. I do wish that there was more, and I also wish that it was more descriptive. So like it wasn't super like I enjoyed some of the stuff that was in there, and again,
it was descriptive in a way that wasn't descriptive. If that doesn't even make sense, but things that were descriptive,
it wasn't closed door, it wasn't fade to black. There was still some in there, but it could have been.
But it felt
more.
like out of body descriptive versus
it was,
like
exactly.
Especially as a first person POV, it was like, oh, the stars that were behind my eyes.
So I will say, like I almost fuck, I just burnt my hand on a candle. Give me a second.
Ugh.
I grabbed the side of the candle, and the side of the candle is really hot. I was gonna comment because I think the first scene was not in his point of view, and I was like, Ariel's not going to be mad about that part.
No.
Which was great, but again, I do wish it was more descriptive.
2 out of the 3 scenes were in her point of view. So
correct, yeah. So that was nice. Yeah. How about your least favorite character?
Oh, my least?
I know, I switched it, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I would say the collective fathers. I know that's kind of cliche answer, but
it's okay. I mean, I had Darcy's dad, and next to Darcy's dad, I wrote garbage. So I think both fathers were. Well, no, both fathers were absolutely that way. But the problem I had with Darcy's dad is he would have redeemed himself a little bit more if he had realized after Dominic was like, have you read your daughter's shit?
Right. And he read her stuff and then he read it realized. And then was
like, okay, yeah, no, this is great. But he didn't go that route. He just stayed garbage, stayed shitty. I wish if he had redeemed himself, then cool, yeah, I would have knocked him off there and just stuck with Dominic's dad. Dominic's dad was obviously built to be the villain in this goddamn story. So, like, it's understandable. But no, Darcy's dad your daughter, like, it's clear. It's so clear that this is the problem. This is not the route she wants to go. And he is so up his own ass. Basically, like, the older version of Basil at this point. Like, that's who he is.
It's Basil.
Fuck off. He probably would correct me. But it's
he did. He corrected Elizabeth.
I know. So it's one of, I mean, someone called him Time, so I thought it was funny.
It was Elizabeth. I think that's why it was so funny. But, I did find my note. I said the cucumber scenes were kind of glossy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they were like glossed over.
That's how they,
Yeah, I got
Even though we were there, they were kind of glossy in the description. Yeah.
So anyways, who's your favorite character?
Marcus.
Elizabeth.
I figured she'd be yours.
Marcus was
so
I
enjoyed what Elizabeth brought to the table. She was just a little too unhinged for me to be my favorite. She was
like the perfect amount of unhinged for me, but
because I was like, dude, what the fuck?
She was a lot. I liked her. She's great. But yeah, Marcus was
she was hilarious. But I felt like I was definitely vibing Marcus. Wheel time.
Wheel of Fate, where you spin the wheel and see what the fuck we're doing this week, because I can. Alright, so this week it is going to be Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston.
Ooh, that means we get a movie.
Yeah, so basically this lines up perfectly because normally on Mondays, every other Monday, we do a special. So what we can do is not only do the book, but we can do the movie.
But do the movie. Yeah, because that came out. Yeah.
Yes,
Sweet deal.
Yeah, so for the description, it is first son Alex Claremont Diaz is the closest thing to a prince this side of the Atlantic. With his intrepid sister and the Veep's genius granddaughter, they're the White House trio, a beautiful millennial marketing strategy for his mother, President Ellen Claremont. International socialite duties do have downsides, namely when photos of a confrontation with his longtime nemesis, Prince Henry, at a royal wedding leak to the tabloids and threaten American-British relations. The plan for damage control, staging a fake friendship between the first son and the prince. As President Claremont clicks off her re-election bid, Alex finds himself hurtling into a secret relationship with Henry that could derail the campaign and upend two nations. What is worth the sacrifice? How do you do all the good you can do? And most importantly, how will history remember you?
So an
So,
MM romance. And I saw
yes.
the trailer for the movie, and they land in a pile of cake.
Yes, they do. Oh man. So yeah, so tune in for us next week for when we cover the book, and then on that following Monday we will also do the movie. And yay!
Woot woot.
And Ariel's just gonna sit and eat her food.
Because eating is love.
Yes, it is. Oh shit.